for another UV resin class. Let me just click some things here. Got it. All right. So today we're learning all about UV resin and how to use it to make really, really cute Thanksgiving fall harvest themed jewelry. My name is Stephanie Menor. I'm the creative director at Blue Moon Studio. We are the makers of UV resin craft, and I'm here to teach you all about it. So if you're a beginner, welcome. You're going to learn everything you need to know. If you have tried UV resin before or other types of resin, also welcome. You're going to find something here to take your crafts to the next level. So let's switch to the top-down camera and take a look at the projects that we're going to be making today. So we're going to make this super cute little Thanksgiving turkey, and he is a pin. And this is made completely out of resin. And then we're going to make some pumpkin earrings. Those have some little metal details in them. So in these techniques, you're going to be learning how to use UV resin, how to tint it, how to cure it, how to build shapes together to make something complicated like this, how to add metal details inside, how to turn it into an earring, how to make these little dangles, the whole shebang. You're getting it all today. So let me actually move this out of the way. And first going to talk about the supplies that you need and your crafting setup. So the very first supply, and the most important one, this is UV resin. So it comes in a bottle like this, and it's basically ready to use. Here's the cap. The only thing you have to do is you have to open this up and take that seal off for you to start using it. But that's all it is. It's one bottle. And so it's not like a two-part resin where you have to mix two things together. This pours out of the bottle ready to use as a liquid. And when you pour it, it will stay in that liquid form until you cure it. Now, let me bring my camera up just a little bit here, so you can see what I have here. And this is what you cure it with. This is a UV light. And this is what it looks like in stores. I'm going to go ahead and open this. So UV light from a lamp or UV light from sunlight. That's how you cure this product. And it will not cure until you apply UV light to it. So it will stay in its liquid form as long as you need to, so you can take your time and really control the curing process. Okay, so here's the lamp. This is a 9-watt UV lamp, little bridge style. This is a perfect size to fit over a silicone mold like this. See how it fits in there perfectly? So included in the package are these cables. And so you just connect the cable to a USB power source and plug that like that. Oops. And then you have your UV light. I just hit the button. You can see it on. When I hit the button again, you can see it off. It runs for a minute. If I hit that button, it runs for a minute. The other important thing in terms of setting up your workspace is you want to protect your desktop. And so a silicone mat is a great thing. This is our extra large mat. This is about 12 inches by 16 inches. I'm also going to open this up and put this out. So you'll notice that a lot of the products that we're working with are made of silicone. And that is because silicone, well, resin does not stick to silicone. So that makes it pretty handy to work with. So I'm going to set this out here. You can see it covers my whole workspace. We also have a smaller silicone mat that's about this size. Mine has glitter on it, of course, because everything I own has glitter on it. But I really like the extra large one for just making sure that, you know, in case of spills, that you have it covered here. All right, so we have the lamp. We have the silicone mat. We have the resin. What else do you need? Well, you need some molds. So these are some of the molds that we're going to be working with today. You can see they're very clear, clear silicone, and they're clear because remember that this product cures by using UV light. And so that light has to be able to hit all parts of what you're doing. So there are plenty of silicone molds out there. There are opaque molds. You do not want to use opaque molds for this craft because it just won't cure correctly. I also have some wood sticks. I have a bunch of silicone. Here's the silicone again, mixing cups. So these are, everything I'm showing you is sold at Michael's, usually in the jewelry making department. And then we sell this as like a mixing kit. So it comes with some sticks and a cup. And you can see it's very flexible. It's got a spout, so when you can easily pour with it. And then I also have some tints. These are great ways to tint the resin. So we're going to be using all of those colors. I have some glitters over here. I have some jewelry findings, but these are the basics that you need. All right, so let me bring you up just a little more. Sorry, I don't want to make you guys seasick. Okay, so also before we get started, just kind of a note of caution. If you have sensitive skin, if you have a resin sensitivity or an allergy, wear gloves. And you just want to make sure you're not working at an open window where sunlight is streaming in, because that will cure your resin before you want to. All right, so let's look at our first project, which are these pumpkin earrings. And these are so cute. They're just using a circle mold, which we have right here. So these little guys came out of here. We actually have a lot of different circles. If you look at this mold, we've got kind of like more of a donut circle. We've got a circle within a circle right there. So you can choose what size your pumpkin is going to be. Here I have some extra resin that's clung to this, but the other thing you'll notice is this little peg here. So that is so when you pop your resin piece out, it will have a hole at the top, and that hole is used to attach your earring post. Okay. Well, let's just get started. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to grab some wire. So this is how we're going to make those metal details inside of there. This is 22 gauge wire that's sold also at Michael's. And so we want to make some curves in our metal. So you want to find something that's about the size curve. I'm going to use this tint bottle. And so you can just kind of wrap it and cut it. So I have some jewelry tools to the side here, one of which is this little wire cutter. So let me get that tail wrapped a little bit better. And these do not have to be perfect. Pumpkins don't grow out of the ground perfect. And so what you're doing here doesn't have to be perfect either. So don't stress out about it if your pumpkins don't have the right angle, if these pieces of wire aren't as flat as you want. Let's cut another one. We're going to cut also one that's kind of straight too. And I'm just kind of eyeballing for how big my mold is. If you want to get it perfect, what you can do is line up the wire with your mold and kind of, I don't know, kind of measure it like that and then cut right here. And then also I am just using my fingers to keep this wire straight. If you have a pair of nylon jaw pliers, that is what that is for, is keeping this stuff straight. One more curved piece. Okay, so there's my pieces of wire. And so those wires are showing obviously on the front of the earring. Let me show you also the back of the earring. The back of the earring is plain. orange. So the other thing to know is when you're using a mold, what you're putting into the mold, actually this bottom part is the front. So what you see with your eyes looking top down is the back of the piece. So actually what we're going to do is these are going in there first. So let me start, and I'm going to use some pliers to pick this stuff up just because it's small. It might be easier that way. And I can make adjustments. Like I can see that this needs to be cut down just a little bit. Let me put that in there. Maybe cut down a little bit more so it doesn't go to the side of that little silicone peg. Okay, let me bring you guys a little bit closer. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And now we're just going to follow our example here and start putting our other pieces in. It looks like a lot of these have to be cut. And I'm just kind of placing them in there. Oh, don't flip around on me. Okay, he wants to go on the outside, so let's let him go there. So I hope we have some beginners joining us. If you are a beginner or if you're an intermediate and you have any questions, feel free to use the chat function. So we do have some people helping us out to answer those chat questions. If I see them pop up on the screen, I'll answer your question live here. Our goal is to help you feel more comfortable with this craft and hopefully try it out. So we want to help you in this process. I also think what I'm going to do is I am actually going to pour some resin into this mold, just a very thin layer, because that is going to help these pieces that I'm laying down kind of sit where I want them to sit. Also, what I have to the side here, it's just a paper towel. I use that to wipe off the tip of my wood stick as needed. All right. That one went wonky. That's okay. So like I said, you have all the time in the world to play with this. You can, you know, take a break, come back to it tomorrow. It's still going to be liquid. All right, last piece we're going to get in there. And also, just so you know, this class is being recorded. It's going to be up on Michael's YouTube. If you want to rewatch it, craft along at your leisure, you can do that. All right, that's looking pretty good to me. So we have 5 different pieces of wire sitting in there and a tiny little pool of UV resin. So because we've taken all that time to get those pieces of wire exactly where we want them, we want to cure this. So this is just a small pre-cure step. It really helps to cure in layers. So I'm just going to move that underneath the UV light and hit the button. And so what's happening right now is a chemical reaction is happening that cures this. It turns it from liquid into a hard plastic glass-like material. And so this has only been on for about 15 seconds, but I don't know, like you can see, it's already hardened. Okay, but it's not hardened all the way, so let's let that go a little bit longer. All right, the next thing we're going to be doing is mixing an orange color. Let me kind of prep for that. So I have one silicone bowl. And we'll get our red and yellow tints. Okay, I think that's good. Let's just turn that off because I don't want to have that lamp going when I'm mixing colors over here. That will cause it to harden here in the bowl. All right, so I'm just going straight into the bowl. Maybe a little bit more, kind of also eyeballing how much I need. And some tint. We're going to put 2 drops of yellow. Start with that. We can adjust. Oh, you do want to shake these tints, by the way. And the teeniest little drop that we can manage of red. These colors are very concentrated. That tiny bottle I showed you will last you a long time. All right, let's just mix that up. And this is a beautiful orangey. We could have done with a little more red in there. Let's see. Maybe just a teensy bit more red. And to get that teensy, I think what I'll do is use the stick to just kind of pick up some red and do it that way. All right. And then if you like, you can put just the tiniest little bit of white in there. The white one, you want to make sure that you shake that up. Just 1 drop of white. That'll just give it a little bit of opaque color. We don't want to go totally opaque. It takes longer to cure that way. And if it's completely opaque, it's got a ton of tint in it, it may not cure properly. But that looks like a beautiful pumpkin-y color to me. All right, so here is our piece. Now I'm going to press on it just because I want you to see what we have here. You see how it's like, it's cured, it's plastic. But it is not filled all the way, and that's what we're going to do is fill it. All right, so using the cup as a spout, we can just pour that directly in there and fill this mold all the way to the top. Now you can see I have a little bubble here. And the way to deal with bubbles is you can poke at it and, oh, I got it on the first try. You can just kind of poke that out of existence. And then I'm going to go around the side. Sometimes it'll want to pucker a little bit. So I just like to go around the side. All right, and this is ready. I'm going to save this little bit of orange for the next project. So I'm going to put that to the side, and this is ready to go. I want to show you, here's our example earring. This was created by our jewelry designer, Rosa Vergara, and she put these really pretty little green beads dangling at the top so the earring has some movement to it. So while this is curing, I'm going to show you how to make that. These are the dangles. This is what they look like when they're done. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, so to make those, you need 2 things. You need what's called a head pin. This looks like a really skinny nail. See, it's got like a flat tip to it. Very common jewelry making component. And you need some green seed beads. So you may need to pick these out of like a seed bead assortment like this, just the green ones. But I have those here. So what I'm going to show you now is how to turn any bead into a dangle like this. So You just string that bead on. This could be any bead. In this case, it is a seed bead. This is a glass seed bead. And then what you want to do is you want to bend this head pin 90 degrees. So what we're essentially doing is making that loop at the top. See, it's got a loop. That's called a basic loop or a simple loop. So I situate my pliers, and I'm going to kind of use the table since this is so small and try to bend that over 90 degrees. See how I bend it? And now I want to go in with a special jewelry plier. This is a round nose plier. See how the tips are like cone-like? Oh, actually forgot one step. I need to trim this tail. We don't need all of this tail. We only need about 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to cut that right there and try not to let it go across the room. Okay, so this is what we're left with. And now this little tail, we need to curl onto itself to create a loop. So take my round nose pliers and I situate them at the end and see how it's about in the middle of that cone. It's not at the really skinny end, and it's not at the really fat end down there. It's in the middle. Okay, and so kind of holding that bead, then I can twist it back on itself and starting to make a loop, and kind of grab it again, keep twisting it onto itself until you have a loop. And then you can make it perfect. You can kind of straighten it out. But this is what you're left with. All right, so this ran for a minute. I'm going to run that for another minute. And so you want to repeat that process until you have 3 things there. So we're also, in order to connect this all, we're also going to need a jump ring and an ear wire. And so you can see them all put together. The jump ring is going to go through the hole that's created in the mold. And then all 3 of those little danglies that you're going to make sit on the jump ring along with the ear wire. We have a question in the chat from Catherine. Thank you for chatting with us. Her question is, do you have to cure the other side? And the answer to that is maybe sometimes. There are people who cure this side and then flip this around and cure the other side. I've seen that happen a lot. And that is one way to do it. You can definitely do that. But that should only be necessary if you're working with a really opaque color. This is pretty opaque, actually. But I don't think we're going to need that. So this is gone for about 2 minutes. Let's see what we have. So we can see just how easily that pops out. The silicone's so flexible. It just allows you to pop that right out. Oh, darn. Well, we have a fail here, folks, but I like to show you my fails so you don't do what I did. When I was sitting those wires in there, I don't think I put enough clear resin into the mold to kind of set those wires in place. So my orange resin got really muddy. That's okay. You live, you learn. But let's look at this beautiful example instead. Let me show you how to put that together. Actually, we'll use my ugly one. All right, so here's a jump ring. This is how we're going to connect everything together. So the jump rings have a break at the top. You're going to open that up and feed that through the hole. I'm going to get a second pair of pliers. I'm going to close it just a little bit. Still need to leave it open to feed these things on. All right, so the 3 little loopy guys go on. And the ear wire. and then you close the jump ring. Just bring those ends together in the opposite direction that you opened them. And there we go. Wah, wah. That's my bad. I should have put more clear in there to really give them a layer, those wires a layer of clear to sit in. But this is what it looks like. A question from Karen, what size jump ring are you using? I believe that this is a 6mm jump ring. Here's a closer look at that. 6mm works pretty well, or 7mm works to get it through kind of like thicker pieces. All right, so those are our pumpkin earrings. Now, we did a class, a Halloween class, where we used the same technique to make a candy corn earring. So that also has pieces of wire in there. You can see it from the side. That was actually, oh, that was the back of it. You can see it from the side and from the front. So by using wire inside the mold, you can see you can get very detailed and clean lines out of a mold. How cute is that? Okay. All right, are we ready for our next project? Our next project is a little more complicated. We've got this turkey. He's got multiple parts, multiple colors. We've got some extra ways of embellishing him. So he's got a little seed beaded, what is this part of a turkey called? Gobble? Is it a gobble? No, I don't know. But he's got cute little seed beaded feet here too. And so those are kind of extra things that you can do. I'm going to show you the basics of creating a turkey. Let me show you the back again. It's a little brooch. All right, so for him, his body is a teardrop. We're going to use this. This is the same mold that our pumpkin was made from. His body is that teardrop. His feathers are another size teardrop. This is from one of our hoop earring molds. This is a beautiful, beautiful mold. I love to show this off. This is a hoop earring that we made from this mold. Isn't that gorgeous? But also in there are these little teardrops. We're going to use those for his feathers. Okay, so let's mix up some colors. We need a whole bunch of colors. Let's see, we're going to need a yellow, orange, red, brown, green. So we're going to do some little mixing here. Bring all of my stuff out. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit in each one. Okay, so let's do yellow. Actually, one of them I'm going to put more because I'm going to make that his body. So we need more resin. We need red. We need green. And so green needs blue. Now I will tell you, this blue out of all of our tints is extra concentrated. So just be very careful. Add the tiniest little bit that you can manage. And then we need brown. Brown can be a hard color for some people to mix, but it helps if you think of brown as dark orange. So it is orange with a little bit of blue in it. So I'm going to put the tiniest little bit of blue, and we will adjust these colors as needed. And of course, we have our orange from the first step. All right, so let's do the easy ones first. Yellow. You want to really make sure you mix that, because you don't want any parts that are still tint. So that might interfere with the cure. All right, let's mix our red. I think we could also maybe have a tiny little bit more tint in that one. Nothing crazy. You know, the darker or more opaque the colors get, the harder it is to work with. It's still workable, but if you want to use dark or opaque colors, you really have to cure in layers. Here's my yellow. And my green. There we go. Wipe off my stick. And here's that brown. Do we think it's going to be brown? Fingers crossed, folks. We'll see if I'm lucky today. Oh, it is very much green. See how strong that blue is? It just kind of takes over. Let's keep mixing. All right, so to fix this, I'm going to add more yellow and a little more red. And we'll see if we can get this to come out. And actually, let's add a little bit of white in there to make it. There we go. So if this doesn't work, I can start with a new brown mixture. There we are. Perfect. Okay, so there's our color setup. So we have everything we need to start making these. So let's pour his body first. So going into this teardrop here. And I am going to do a thin layer of that brown just because it's kind of a darker color. You can go in with a stick or just move the mold around to spread that resin out. So like I said, for dark or opaque colors, layering is really the way to go. So I filled the mold about halfway with that dark color, and I'm going to cure that in a minute. I'm not going to turn this lamp on because I have all my resin sitting here and I don't want it to harden. Let me show you a bunch of these feathers. We have a whole bunch of them here. So the feathers, I think, look coolest when they have multiple colors going on inside them. And here's our turkey guy. So I think they're most effective when you have something like this where you've got multiple colors. So that's really what we're trying to achieve. So let's try to do that with some brown and some yellow, kind of the darkest and the lightest color. So I'm going to pour them at the same time. Kind of going very slow. I don't want the brown to overpower, but there we go. Filled that up to the top. Let's do the same thing maybe with the red on this side. Ooh. Okay, and then I'm going to move all of these colors off to the side here. and those are ready to cure. Move them away. And we're going to attempt to cure all of this together. Might be hard because these are kind of far from one another, but okay, so let's let that cure. I'll show you another way of curing, actually. This is another item sold at Michael's. It is also a UV light, but it's a flashlight. So let me see it just, and so I can kind of shine that flashlight on here. So this is nice if you want to bring the project, well, if you want to bring the light to the project instead of bringing the project to the light, this can come in handy. There are a lot of UV lamps out there. Ours, especially for this type of product, like I said, the silicone mold fits perfectly under there. But if you do want to cure in the sunshine, if you live in a sunny place, very easy. You can just put it on a sunny windowsill or put it outside. Under this light, that went for 1 minute. Let's hit that again. Under this light, it'll take about 2 to 4 minutes to cure. In sunlight, on a very sunny day, it may take 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, very fast. Even on a cloudy day, there should be enough UV in the air to cure it, but that might take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It really just depends on where you live, what kind of sunlight you have, how cloudy it is. And if you're crafting during the day, if you want to craft at night, you're going to need a UV lamp for that. All right, so this has gone through a couple minutes. I'm going to try to smooth these around a little bit. And I am going to flip this one over. We're going to kind of cure that other side. Just because it's a very dark color and I want to make sure that that light hit it. So as we're making this turkey, I want to show you some other options. So here's our turkey. We did a class a few months ago on butterflies. Now this is the exact same technique. This is the exact same technique that we're using on our turkey. Just in a different way. These are also pins. And these also use teardrop shapes. So you can see we've added a whole bunch of fun stuff on the top of there to make them into butterflies. But just wanted to show you these. We're going to put a link in the chat. Jen just put a link in the chat for you. If you want to watch this class on how exactly we made these butterflies for spring, you can find that link there. All right, so remember that this brown is only half full. So I'm going to fill the back of it with more clear resin. Whoops. And then I overfilled the mold. So this is what you do if you overfill. You want to try to kind of just clean that up a little bit. It'll make your life easier. Or you can kind of scoop some of it out into a paper towel if you overfill it. Okay. All right, let's flip that around and cure that the rest of the way. All right, these, I think I saw something pop up in the chat. What wattage is the flashlight? And that is a good question. I'm not sure that I remember the answer to that. This might be a 6 watt or an, that is a good question. I wonder, Jen, if you can find the answer to that and pop that in the chat so people know, because I'm not exactly sure. A question from Susan, can you find a bigger light so you can add more molds in there? Absolutely, they sell a lot of different, I mean, if you ever got your nails done with the UV polish, they use a lot bigger machines. You just want to be careful because some of those UV lights are so strong that they will actually cause the outside of the resin to cure faster than you want it to. and you may see some smoking going on, like some smoke coming up out of the resin. So just be careful with any larger or higher wattage lamps. All right, so this went a couple minutes. I'm going to do that one more time, and let's see what we have here. So here I'm just kind of popping it out and see how easily that comes out of the mold. And this is what we're left with. This one. Pop that out. All right, so you want to make 5 feathers. So I'm going to choose my favorite 5 feathers out of this pile that I have. And I'm going to start kind of assembling my piece here. To do that, I'm going to use another product here. This is resin tape. This is special low tack polyester tape that is used in resin crafting. We're going to use it to put our guy together. So I have the tape here stuck to my finger. So this is the sticky side of it. So I'm going to set the sticky side down up. Sticky side up. And we also get the body. Here's the body. One thing I do want to tell you is you will feel heat when this first comes out of the lamp. It will be warm, and so you do want to wait a minute before you pop that out, just because I don't want you to, I mean, you're not going to burn yourself, but it is a little warm. You can see how clean the edges are. That is the benefit of using a high quality silicone mold. All right, so here's our turkey body. Let's set him down. And let's see. I am going to start laying out my feathers. And so this is tape, so they'll stick down and hold everything in place. I just want to keep these shapes close to one another where they touch, because we are going to have to secure those together. Might have to, you want to fit all 5 in there. So you have to, it's like a little puzzle. Move these ones over a little bit. And just play around with it until you get the placement of the feathers that you want. And let's do like kind of a red one. All right, pressing those down. And then for his head, same as the, let's see, kind of the same brown color. All right, so that's the idea. That's how we're going to stack these things together. So to make them stay together, we have to use more resin. So first, let's do the feathers onto the body. We're going straight from the bottle. A little bit of resin. This is just going to kind of fill in those cracks and hold everything together. And let me cure that. And the next step that we'll do is adding his head, curing that, and then we're going to show you ways of decorating. So we can add a nose, the little gobble thing, his eyes, and if you want to add feet, we'll show you how to add feet. Those are the same feet that we made for the pumpkin. So it's just a seed bead and a head pin, and you make a simple loop. And you can see that those are attached with jump rings. There's a lot of ways that you could attach those to the body. Jump rings is one of them. But to use a jump ring, you have to have a hole to put it through. So that's where a tool like this comes in. This is a little drill. So I'm not going to drill on him, but I want to show you on one of these other pieces. So if you want a hole in something and you don't have it, then you need to use this. So this kind of is a little hand drill. It sits at the bottom twist and it sits in my hand like that. And so I can add a hole by just using pressure and spinning. And this makes the perfect size jewelry hole, which is about 1.5 mm to 1.75 mm. And it does create some dust there, but I just keep going until eventually, see, it just pokes through. Reverse that, and you can see the perfect size hole. So that's how you would make these holes in his body. I'm not going to do all of that in the time that we have left, but you would just make 2 holes there. I'm going to show you a different way to attach those legs. Okay, so that's gone for a minute. Let's add his face, which is an upside down teardrop. And I want to center that up. I can kind of control where that excess resin went. And of course, if you're crafting at home, you can take your time and get everything in just perfect position. And when you're ready, tear it down. Next, we're going to add some eyes and a nose. So the nose, this is a wheel of goodies. And it's got a lot of different like metal charm shapes in there. This is sold in the very same area where you'll find the resin in stores. But one of the shapes we're going to use for his little beak, and it's kind of a triangle shape. And I'll give you 2 guesses how we're going to set this down on that turkey with some UV resin. All right, so let me kind of stop that in the middle. I'm going to put a little dot of resin to the side of my tape and dip into it with my stick. And I'm going to add just a little bit on the front of there. Also use the stick to pick up that metal piece. Oops. And set it down. And I'm actually going to do the eyes at the same time. These are just tiny little wiggle eyes. These are 4 mm size. So same way, dip into the resin, place it where you want your eyes to go, and then go ahead and pick up the eye. And he looks funny and cross-eyed, but it's so cute. All right, and let's cure those details on the face. While that's curing, I wanted to show you a couple other fun fall projects. This is some beautiful pair of earrings made by our jewelry designer. And this is very simple to make with some dried flowers. So this is obviously a rectangular bar earring, and we've just used it with, with clear resin and some dried flowers. And that's simple. You can make a really stunning pair of earrings. I also want to show you a couple other pieces. Here is a beautiful sunset cloud earring, also using that bar shape. We make a lot of these bar shaped earrings because it's so easy, such as basic modern shape. And that we've done an ombre background with some white clouds. These white clouds, we have a whole class on this one too. These white clouds, you'll never guess what they're made of. It's soap, bar soap, white bar soap. All right, so our turkey's coming together. These are the basics. Now, if you want to get fancy, you can add the legs, like I said. You can add this little gobbler. So this gobbler is made of these tiny, tiny little seed beads. Here they are on my finger, so you can see. Tinies. So if you, I would recommend this to be a little bit more advanced. If you have some experience using tiny seed beads, you can take some red thread and thread those up, and then tie off the thread and attach it. What we're going to do, because I want to show you a little bit of an easier way, I'm going to take some of these. We're just going to attach some seed beads right to his face in the same way that we attached the eyes. So adding some there, picking up the seed beads, just to give the indication that he's got a little gobble thing. And that is the much easier way to do it. And so let's lock those down. And then the feet, this is kind of the advanced version. You would have to drill out those holes. Let's look at the back. Drill out those holes, add a jump ring, make your loops. But I'm going to show you an easier way for our beginners out there. So here's our two little feet. Let's stop that. At this point, I'm going to take him off of that tape. And I'm actually going to cure the back. I think some of it was blocking. So let's cure the back. What we're going to do is we're just going to use the resin like an adhesive and just kind of glue these to the back. At the same time, or maybe in a separate step, we're going to add that pin back. So this is what the pin back looks like. It's flat. They have this in a lot of different sizes, depending on what you're making. But you can turn any object, in any flat backed object, into a brooch this way. Okay, so let me show you how to add. I'm going to add those feet. Just adding a tiny little glob there. And I might have to hold this while it cures. Woohoo! Hold on. Actually, let me get my pliers. And just holding the pliers, holding this. Oh, come on, cooperate. Set that down until it grabs. It only takes about, 5-10 seconds for it to grab. All right, and let's do it again. Turn the light on and hold that in place until it grabs. All right, kind of moving it around, making sure that light is getting all the areas. And finally, we're going to add that pin back. So again, with more resin, kind of set him down in there. And I'm just going to hold this because it's now uneven. I can even out where I have kind of globs of resin. Try to make it look nice and finished on the back. And hold that in place and cure it. So UV resin is such a great adhesive. My husband actually does like scale modeling, and he loves to use this as an adhesive because of how quickly it dries and how quickly it cures. So I'm going to show you the finished product here in a minute, but please join us for our next class, which will be a Christmas themed class in December. We're going to put the link to that class on michaels.com up in the chat. I hope you all join us. We love to make new and different things. We hope we've inspired you to try this out and to make your own UV resin creations. So I'm just kind of letting this cure, but let's flip him over and see what we got. Here he is, so cute. With the kind of easier, here's the beginner way, and then here's a little more advanced. So the advanced way, you get, you know, those legs will be, have a little movement on them. The gobble's a little bit bigger, but it's really up to you how far you want to take it. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you'll join us next time. Goodbye. Thank you.